So let's go.
Let's go.
Hi, I'm Bernhard Ott. I'm vintner in the Wagner region, family vineyard since 1889. And today we will talk about the weather conditions, also about the vintage of 2020. And 2020 for us, it's we'll say a typical cool climate vintage, and absolutely great for our Grüne Veltliner grapes. And the harvest was a little bit earlier as 2016. 2016 was also a very similar vintage to 2020. And the quality, will say, it's a very elegant and very well balanced and juicy, spicy, animating Grüne Veltliner for 2020. The winter time was very dry, and it seems like 2020 will be the same as 17, 18, and 19. And we think it till the middle of May. Till the middle of May, it was dry and too warm for the springtime, and only a little bit of frost on the beginning of April, and this costs us, I think, 10 to 20% of the amount. We've got on the beginning of April -7 degrees. And we lose, I think, 10 to 20, 30% sometimes of the buds. And so with the lower yields, also the quality goes up in 2020 for us. The flowering process was a little bit later as in the last years, I think also due to the frost in April. And the weather during the flowering is normally very hot in our region. Sometimes it goes up to 35 degrees. And in 2020, we have perfect conditions from 20 to 28 degrees. And it was absolutely great. If it's too hot, the wines get stressed, but at this time it was absolutely okay. And it was more sunny, and sometimes after the flowering it was a little bit raining. And we've got enough water. I think it was the first time after 3 years. I think 2016 was the last vintage with similar rainfalls. And you know, we have no drip irrigation. We work with compost, and we're looking for absolutely healthy, storable loess soils. And our loess soils can store a lot of water. And we saw in 2018, 2019, the water are empty. And so we are happy with this rainy time into the late springtime. It was good for us. The soil can take a lot of water, and we are in a absolutely, I will say, successful flowering with elegant, for us, perfect cooler weather conditions. It's a cool climate vintage. And during the whole summertime, during the whole vegetation period, we have no hot temperatures. It was not like 18. So also the harvest time starts in a normal way. If I remember when I'm 8, 10 years old, normal harvest on Grüne Veltliner starts in the beginning of October. And this year it was a little bit earlier, 2020, we start on the 15th of September. 2019 was the 10th of September, and in 18, 28th, 27th of August. So you can see the difference. It goes more like a normal year. And we finished the harvest on the 22nd of October. Late, I think a little bit like 2016, a little bit like 2013 and 8, 2004 and 98. I started in 93, but I think this vintages 98, 2004, 2008, 2016, 2013 and 2020 are a little bit similar. And all vintages are elegant vintages. The wines are extremely storable and with a very, very, very good acidity. This is absolutely great. We pick 100% by hand, and we doesn't distem anything. We work with the whole bunches, but we crash it. And for normally in a hot year, we can wait for 3, 4, 5 hours, no more, because the pH go up. But this year it was wonderful. We can work with a really long skin contact, and this is absolutely great because in this long time of skin contact, because we have a good balance from the acidity and from the sugar content, and with the long time of skin contact, we can take all the aromas, all the character out of the skins, and so the wines are really intense, and we press it only in 2 times. It's also very important. We use the bunches for a drainage, and so we press maximum 63% out of 100 kilogram of grapes. Normally, by the law, you should press from 70 to 75, but we press lighter and only in 2 times, and so we get more fruit out and less bitter notes. And after pressing, we ferment it in stainless steel or in oak barrels. Now we only think 30% of all wines are in oak barrels, and we bought a lot of oak barrels in the last few years, and we are absolutely happy with this decision because it's a step back to our tradition. And the oak barrels are not like barriques. It's big oak barrels like 3,000, 5,000 and 7,000 liters. And I think also for us, we produce more than 90% of Grüne Veltliner, and so it's perfect to work with bigger oak barrels. The oak of these barrels stored for 8-10 years in the nature, and so you can smell any oak and any toasting. It's only a small piece of a next step from me, and I love this. I love this vinification, and it gives the wine good we'll say the power for a long ripeness, and this is absolutely great. We stay really long on the full lease, and now we are on the end of January, and we start to blend the new vintage Ambergen Phosphore. The next step will be until summer on the full lease, and the single vineyards will stay for 2 winter times on the full lease. And in April, we will also bottle the first time the 2019 single vineyards, and we are absolutely happy. And I'm really happy to show you in the next few tastings the new single vineyards of 2019. So, Gabe, help me. Do you need more information?
No, that was great. That was great, Bernhard. One question I had, and I think it's helpful for people to understand the progression of your wines. Every few, I think that every few years you're always thinking about ways to improve the winery, and of course I think, and the wines themselves, to make them more expressive and more longer lived. And the last thing that you've done, the addition of the Stockinger oak barrels, has certainly changed things. But there were some things that you did before when you were talking about pressing, and you were talking about whole cluster pressing. In 2013 you still were destemming. Is that correct? That was the last vintage that you were destemming. Yes. So when you look at that vintage, which was a cool vintage too, and you look at 2020, how do you think the wines are a bit different just from that perspective, destemming versus whole cluster?
The discussion about our region and also of our varieties every time for me, how can we show to our customer our place, our soil, our climate, our thinking, and I think if we look back, the traditional winemaking was with the stems every time, and for me the difference is you have also a hint of bitterness inside, and I think it's very important to get this, not only the fruit, and we work with natural fermentation, and so it's not so intense in fruit. And Grüne Veltliner is spicy on the last soil, really spicy. And so you need for a great wine, also in the basic, Amberg is our lightest one. But for me, it's extremely important to show our winery also from the lightest to the single vineyard, to show my idea of winemaking also in the lightest one. And I think it's very important. It's different. Amberg is different because it's vinified like a single vineyard, but with shorter times, but with the same idea as the single vineyards. And so this hint of bitterness brings you a more structure. This wine is more storable as a destemmed wine, and I want to produce a typical Grüne Veltliner, and Grüne Veltliner is not only driven by the fruit; it's more driven for me by the spiciness and by this. For my goal is, if you open or if you get a glass of wine, you know, okay, this is Burgundy or Chablis, this is Semillon, this is Loire, this is Sauvignon, this is Riesling from Germany, And I want to find a way that you can say this is Grüne Veltliner from the Danube region, and this is not only fruit. This is also spiciness and a hint of bitterness and this typical Grüne Veltliner aroma.
Excellent.